Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with our journeys, our discussions, our discoveries, and our explorations with respect to the recent releases made by the Criterion Collection during this year of 2024. And over the course of a number of videos, we have been, you and I, my dear friends, been speaking about the films that can be found in this great set, which is right here, released by the Criterion Collection in this multi-disc set. 3 films which are under the collective set title of 3 Revolutionary Films by Ousmane Sembène. And so over the course of these video discussions, you and I have been speaking about the films that are included in this set, which are, and I'll take them out here, the first film being Emitai, and then the next film being Hala, and then last but not least Chedo. And I had them out of order there, and I apologize. So it should be looking like this here. So Emitai, Hala, and Chedo. And they are part of this wonderful Blu-ray set, a multi-disc set, from the Criterion Collection. So now, my dear friends, what I propose to do is just to speak about other points about this set. And so let us begin by speaking about the supplements that can be found located on the discs of this set, 3 Revolutionary Films by Ousmane Sembène. So this is the supplement which is found on the disc for Emitai, obviously, but based on the content of the discussion, and it's a great discussion, by the way, this could be said to be kind of primer or introduction into the world and the biography and the background of Ousmane Sembène, because they speak with great detail about this, and Man Bonetti also speaks, for instance, about her interactions with Sembène directly and personally, and also how that influenced the reach and scope and showing of these films. For instance, in places in the United States, etc., which led to the development and establishment of the African Film Festival, which is also showcased and described a little bit in this great discussion. So it does feature, I think, a way in which one can become introduced into the world and the identity and the very sort of artistic makeup, if you will, of who Ousmane Sembène was and is. But also, it does go into a little bit of a discussion between the two of them, and they are very much passionate about the films. They know the films very well, evidently, based on the discussion. It's a great discussion because they talk about each of the films and the plot and also the themes and sort of historical context for each of the films. Not just Emitai, but also Hala, the second of the films, and also Chedo, a third of the film, the third of the 3 films. So in that way, I think this is a supplement that could be said to be a very much comprehensive one, not just tied to Emitai, but also tied to the other films itself. So we do have ways in which they are also tying the films together, again, establishing or identifying or recognizing certain through lines of Sembène's works here. For instance, treatment or handling of colonialism and post-colonialism concerns. The idea, the concept or notion of independence. What does it mean to be espousing a sense of independence from an intimate cultural perspective, and also from what one might say a political perspective? And we also have notions of, say, hierarchy and democracy, and also external influence and internal integrity. This also has to do with the military concerns, religious concerns, again spreading out over, and also business concerns and financial concerns, political concerns. So these points are all, I think, gathered in one form or another in each of the films respectively, and also spread out through the films themselves. And also the idea of civilized versus uncivilized, say, behavior or notions or thoughts, quote unquote, civilized versus uncivilized, and what does that mean in the context of the films? Or what does that mean just writ large? And is that a kind of even a possible sort of appellation or a possible kind of label to sort of identify with, or is there something more going on here? So it's kind of rich conversation here, and also the way in which the films, again, they do touch upon in their ways different in their own ways, excuse me, different time periods, as I've mentioned before. Um, Say, for instance, the historical past of the 18th, 19th century of the third of film Chedo, or the modern day, as in the second film Hala, or the early 1940s during wartime in Emitai. But there is also an understanding of the possibility of Ousmane Sembène using these films as a kind of way of dealing with, or maybe critiquing, or maybe commenting on the current government in Senegal in the 1970s, Senghor. So I think this has a lot of implications, both say modern and historical, which I've mentioned before, but this discussion here mentions it much better. These two mentioned much better and much more succinctly and much more pointedly and much more brilliantly than I could ever even hope to try. So in that way, this discussion is really quite key. It is really quite key, and so I'm very glad it's part of this celebration of Sembène's work. So anyway, that is the supplement found on the disc Emitai, and as you can see too, there is no other supplement that is found included on the first disc, the Blu-ray disc of Emitai. So anyway, now let's move to the other discs of this set. Next, I have put the disc of Chala into the player right now. So I have therefore the Blu-ray disc, and as you can see, it's another great menu, which is mirroring what we have on the cover of the individual sleeve for Chala. That's really great artwork, by the way. And we can see the movie and then chapters and subtitles that are part of the Blu-ray menu. But as you can see, therefore, there is no supplement that can be found on the second disc that shows the film Hala. So, so far, okay. What we have in terms of supplements that could be said to be Hala related is that earlier discussion that was between Bonetti and Sao, which can be found on the first disc for Emitai, because they do have discussion points about Hala on that supplement. But we don't have any other supplements that are Hala specific that can be found, say, on the second disc. So let's just keep that in mind as we move forward to the third disc. And now I have the third disc that is in the player right now, and that is for the film Chedo. And as you can see, for the Blu-ray menu, we also have a great mirroring of what the is found in terms of the artwork of the individual sleeve for Chedo. It's, again, really great, and we'll speak about the artwork in a moment. But before we do, my dear friends, let us turn to the disc itself, because in addition to the film itself of Chedo on this disc, we have one supplement, which is called The Making of Chedo. And here I quote, "The influential African filmmaker, historian, and critic Paulin Sumanu Vieira co-directed one of the first francophone African films, Afrique sur scène, in 1955. He also mentored and frequently collaborated with director Ousmane Sembène, managing the productions of Emitai, Hala, and Chedo. During the making of Chedo, 1977, he filmed the following documentary, which provides a rare encounter with Sembène at work." So this is, yes, the making of Chedo. It's also, we see shots of, say, shooting and on location, and what appears to be, say, rehearsals or also planning of certain sequences of Chedo. We also see, I think, the production, and I think it's sort of editing in an office, which also showcases, again, the production of the film itself. We also have discussion points about Emitai and Hala, respectively. So this supplement, The Making of Chedo, the sort of documentary, The Making of Chedo, could also be said in a certain way to be about the other films, although admittedly, yes, one can say that the running time is devoted primarily to Chedo, or at least showing shots of, say, preparing Chedo, etc. And also, one of the great benefits, and I should say too, this is 27 minutes overall in terms of running time. And also, one of the great benefits of this is we can see and hear from Ousmane Sembène himself, and he's asked questions about, say, longevity of cinema, and the sort of reach and popularity of his films, both critically, commercial, and also commercially in terms of the market for his films here, and how his films, what is the legacy of his films from his point of view, etc. And then also talking about aspects of, say, a filmmaking craft, again from the words of Sembène himself, and so it's a really valuable piece, documentary, for many reasons. One of which is, again, we get to hear this almost is like, in another way, it's almost like its own interview with Ousmane Sembène directly, and so in that way, I think it's incredibly effective and very informative. So this, like the other supplement that was found on the Emitai disc, could serve as its own, say, primer into the filmmaking craft of Ousmane Sembène, the thought process of Ousmane Sembène from Ousmane Sembène himself, as well as focusing in on certain aspects of the films Emitai and Hala, but also perhaps primarily on the film Chedo as it's being made in certain excerpts as we see it here. So the making of Chedo, 27 minutes approximately. So this is the one and only supplement that is found on the third disc of Chedo. So this now brings me to the point about the supplements on this set, and I must say that uh, I'm I'm quite disappointed by the lack of other supplements. That's not to take anything away from my how positively I react to, say, watching this documentary, Making of Chit. I think it's really great, and I don't, as I say, I'm not at all an Ousmane Sembène expert, but I love how much information is stored in this documentary, and also in the earlier discussion, in terms of Bonetti and Mahan Bonetti and Amy Sao, their discussion on the Emitai disc. That was, again, a wealth of information and insight, which was really great, absolutely great. But I must say that I wish there was more. I really do, especially when you have a multi-disc set, which is in this packaging, and it sort of has a certain aura to it. One expects, and I don't know, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect some more supplements, maybe along the vein of some kind of maybe technical craft of Sembène's works, or maybe some aspect of his writings. Maybe there could have been some discussion points about his writings, for instance, like Khala, for example. I should point out too that, excuse me, off screen here, I should point out that I've pointed out before, the earlier releases by Criterion of separate films by Ousmane Sembène. In English, we have Black Girl, or La Noire de, and then, or also the other film, Mandabi. These have, I would say, really good supplements related to Ousmane Sembène, including aspects of his writing. For those of you who know the Mandabi release, you know what I'm talking about. Actually, we've spoken about the Mandabi release in a separate video discussion on this YouTube channel, in case you're interested. There are also some examples of short films or earlier works by Sembène as part of the supplements here. So if you are looking for, and also some really great documentaries, so if you are looking for more in terms of supplements, and you are intrigued and you want to watch more Sembène works and you haven't seen Black Girl Mandabi yet, then my strong suggestion would be to try to find these and get these, and then you can also enjoy your Sembène cinema journey alongside watching the 3 revolutionary films by Ousmane Sembène. So again, I wish there was more. I really do. But that's not. I don't want to take away from the great discussion with Mahan Bonetti and Amy Sao, and I don't want to take away from the great supplement that's the Making of Chedo. It's really wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But I am disappointed. I wish there could have been more, and especially with a set like this, and sort of yearning, aching for this. For this knowledge about information about Sembène during this period of the early to mid 1970s. So maybe there could have been more technical craft specific supplements, or maybe commentary tracks would have been great. We don't get any commentary tracks here, unfortunately. So, but something that would have been, I think, more icing on the cake in a manner of speaking. So, because again, watching these films, one is so eager to know as much as possible about Ousmane Sembène. This is, I think, a good place to start, but I think it makes one really eager to go elsewhere, such as the earlier Criterion releases of the other films, for instance, to try to find more about the art and cinema of Ousmane Sembène. So, but it's a good start, I think, in terms of what we have here. I wish there would have been more, but what we do have here is quite exceptional. So just please keep that in mind in terms of the supplements that we have included with this set, 3 revolutionary films by Ousmane Sembène. Now let's turn our attention to some of the contours of the packaging and the cover art design here. So we have this wonderful cover art design here. That's part of the outer shell, Ousmane Sembène, 3 revolutionary films by Ousmane Sembène. Look at that. That's really great. I love that font, and I love this this type of this great pictorial depiction of Ousmane Sembène against Africa here, and the implications here in terms of how it's related to the thematic concerns of the films, and also the artwork that we find with each of the sleeves, because the films are found in their own separate sleeves. I should point out that the films do not have their own separate spine numbers, but that's okay. That's okay. I don't mind that too much, but the separate sleeves are really great, and I just want to show off this wonderful artwork. So that's for Emitai, as we've seen, and you can see when you open that up, the disc and Sembène. I love the look of the disc. Incidentally, the Emitai sleeve is where the booklet itself will be housed. The booklet is here, and it would go in something like this, and then you fold it. If I can get that in even, that's right. And then it would then be stacked like this to be inserted into the outer sleeve, which is what I have here. So Emitai has the sleeve for Emitai has a little bit of thickness to it, I think, to account for the room needed to include the booklet. So. But I love this artwork, by the way, and as I say, it's a kind of a key, significant point in terms of the film and also the title, Emitai. Then we have the artwork here for Hala, which is really great, and you can see a depiction here of what one I think is one of the main characters, and you have the disc, Hala. That's great here. So that's the second film. And then the third film, which is Chedo. Look at that. I've also shown the artwork here. This is really great. And you open it up and look at that. Look at that wonderful graphic design. That's really fantastic. And I like this sort of chessboard pattern. It's almost like it's a sort of a graphic design rendition of the sort of chessboard pattern types of interplay between and among the various factions here. So I do like that very much. And then also the artwork is carried over into the wonderful staple booklet. Very many pages, really great indeed, with a number of pictures as well as representations of the sort of pictures. And you have pictures of representations of the artwork of the films, but also pictures of Sembène himself, for instance. So, just a word about the art while we're here in terms of the booklet, because it says in terms of production credits, art director Sarah Habibi, Eric Skillman, illustration by Ifi Chiejia, and designer Eric Skillman, and art production coordinator William Breeze. It's really quite great, really, really great. So I am very impressed with this, and I love this rendition and design. It's quite provocative indeed. So well done indeed in terms of the artwork. And then while we're on the booklet, I should point out the essay, because as we said in the previous videos, there were a number of, say, film-specific pages, for instance, for Emitai on pages 2 and 3, and then Hala on pages 4 and 5, and then for Chedo on pages 6 and 7. But there's also the writing, the great essay. It's called History in the Remaking by Yasmina Price. And I would say that in terms of my disappointment with regard to, or relative disappointment with regard to, say, my feeling about the, relatively speaking, low number of supplements included with the set, I think the essay makes up for that. It certainly goes a long way to sort of alleviate my feelings of disappointment, because Yasmina Price's essay, History in the Remaking, is itself a kind of, I mean, not kind of, but it definitely is. It's a very important supplement. You know, think about the meaning of a supplement and the release, like a Blu-ray release like this from Criterion, it's essentially to try to provide context in terms of the film or the films. And if that's the purpose of supplements, then this essay, History and the Remaking, I think establishes that incredibly well, and a great complement to the other great supplements that are found, the two other supplements here. But Yasmina Price's essay, there's a clarity, and it touches on the points in terms of the biography, the key biographical details of Sembène, sort of the education of Sembène, and also the political and artistic influences of Sembène that lead to the making of these films, beginning with Emitai and then into Hala and then into Chedo, and also some specific points, sort of paragraph. There's maybe a paragraph or a couple paragraphs or more devoted to each of the films specifically. So we have a little bit of a plot synopsis as well as a thematic concern type of sort of essay quality, and then also the legacy of Sembène and overall universally as a sort of powerful voice of cinema, and so kind of also touching upon historical cultural concerns of Senegal, of Africa, and also universal. Both in terms of the past and the present, and indeed perhaps even the future, because a lot of these things that are spoken about in these films, and as Mina Price mentions, there's a kind of resonance that's perhaps maybe all too familiar in terms of, say, political discourse, in terms of, say, social, economic movements, and also the individual spirit, in a manner of speaking. So this is a great essay. I am so pleased with this. And as I say, it's not like I'm disappointed across the board. No. Again, although the lack of sort of the number of supplements might make me feel a little bit down a bit, I am totally lifted by what we have in terms of the supplements on 2 of the 3 discs, and then also this great Yasmina Price essay and this great booklet. So, because I learned so much. So, and I continue to learn, because I reread this a number of times, and I will continue to do so that I catch the details that I didn't catch before. But yes, the essay is great, so please check that out if you can. But my dear friends, this has been my attempt, my endeavor to talk about the films that are found in this set, and those films being Emitai, and then Hala, and then Chedo. And as I say, they form the 3 films, the 3 feature films of this set. And those films are, and as I put the films back into the sleeves, this is the set from the Criterion Collection, the 3-disc set, which is 3 revolutionary films by Ousmane Sembène. So overall, it's not a perfect set from Criterion, but its flaws, I think, are that it makes one really hungry for more information about Ousmane Sembène, from in a manner of speaking. But what we do get does cover a lot of ground, and we also are reminded too of other Ousmane Sembène supplements that we can find in, say, earlier Criterion releases, which I've showcased to a certain degree here, as well as, and I always come back to this, right, the films themselves. And I should really emphasize this, the films being available are really, this is quite spectacular, and the richness of Sembène's, say, cinematic spirit, and and I mean this in a very complimentary way, the roughness of it, there's a sense of the sensibilities have multifacets that have a roughness and also roguish quality. It's reflected in a number of the characters that we meet, for instance, in Hala, for example. But there's also a sense of the earnest and direct, and also the idea of clashes and confrontations that have ripple effects. It's not just the broad strokes of social political currency, but also the individual, how the individuals are affected. So these are stories too about people, about individuals, all 3 films in their own ways. And so in that way, they're very special and very provocative and challenging and utterly brilliant. So at the end of the day, with this set, you are getting 3 major works, brilliant works from this genius filmmaker, brilliant filmmaker, artist, writer, filmmaker, artist, thinker, extraordinaire, Ousmane Sembène, in this set, which is 3 revolutionary films by Ousmane Sembène. All right, my dear friends, so that's it in terms of the discussion series on the set. I'm very glad to have seen you, and I hope that you will continue on your own Ousmane Sembène cinema journeys, and I will certainly continue to revisit these films and the other films as well. So perhaps you too will do the same. And if that's the case, yes, please let me know anytime what you think of the films. As always, I'm always very interested and curious to know what it is you have to say. So with that, my dear friends, let us end these discussions here. So thank you so much for stopping by. It's always great to see you. And in any event, until we meet each other again, please continue to be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies, such as Amitai, such as Khala, such as Chedo, such as other films by Ousmane Sembène, such as other films in the Criterion Collection, and beyond. So until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers. Thank you very much.